So the purpose of today's Lunch and Learn is just to give you guys a look at this product, Renovo FYI, which is a financial statement report writer. It's designed to do your income statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements, that type of financial reporting. And there's a lot of different choices on the market for those on the various Sage GLs. And there are just some different options, and how Renovo is different from others on the marketplace. Really, we find it in two areas where the Sage users kind of how they make their decisions to go with Renovo. The first is the technology. So the technology of Renovo FYI is different than the other choices that you have. And we'll expand on the technology throughout the demonstration. The second reason is for those that are using FRX, they like the fact that Renovo is very FRX-like and that they can convert from FRX very easily. So the two main reasons why people typically go with Renovo is technology and the report writer is very FRX-like. Around technology, one of the big obvious differences is that Renovo is a web-based application. So here I'm in a web browser, I'm in Internet Explorer, and this is how you use the application. It's all through a browser. So it's very different than other choices in that it's not an Excel-based report writer, it is a browser-based report writer. Also around technology is security. So because it's not an Excel add-in, it's its own kind of web-based application. It's got a lot of great security wrapped around it as well. So security is a big of importance to you, then Renovo is a good choice. And security on a lot of different levels. So for one, the user IDs and the email and password, it's all tied to your Windows user ID. So you can use the same user ID and password that you use to log into your computer as you do to log into Renovo. So it's integrated to LDAP and Windows authentication. Second is when somebody logs in, based on their user type, it will control what functions they can do down here on the bottom left. Can I design reports, which is this develop report? Can I run a request report and distribute them and schedule them? That's this request reports menu option. Or can I only view reports and drill down on them? That's the view reports option. And then you have a manage option for administrators. So there's actually three different main types of licensed users. We call them authors who can design, publishers who can run reports, and viewers who can only view reports online. So you have the security around what functional areas they can do. You also have the security over what they can see when they're viewing a report online. So if they're looking at an income statement, for example, the security will dictate, say, what department they can drill down on or view. So you have the data level security as well. Also, because it's not an Excel-based product, but it's kind of like a web-based application, you have this added compliance or security around the reports themselves. So you can't, it's a read-only type of thing. Somebody can't come in here and change the numbers on the report like you could if you were to type over a cell in Excel. Or somebody can't come in here and change a formula when they're looking at a report. So there's a little bit more security and compliance around your reports as well. So security is a big deal, and it's very strong in the Renovo FYI option. Okay, so this is how, I'm going to show you right now this view reports area. This is where users go to view financial reports that have been generated. And what happens is they click on this view reports menu and they get a list of different what we call reporting library folders. These are user-defined folders that the users can design and create their own folders and catalog and organize the reports. So what happens is somebody runs the reports for them, and then they organize them, or they can file them away into folders so that they can always go back and look at previously run financials. So it creates an online catalog of all of your historical reports that you can always go back and look at, or your viewers can always go back and look at. So they don't have to ask accounting to rerun a report for them. They have access to it online. These are just some samples of some reports, different various income statements. There's like a current period with percentage of sales and year-to-date percentage of sales. Very standard types of formats. So income statements. Here's a cash flow example. Here is this is what I kind of consider a expense analysis report, where we've got our expense categories going across the top and our departments going down the rows. This is just another example. Of course, you can create balance sheets. Pretty simple, summarized one. Let's see, this is another balance sheet. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's very similar as well. This is actual year-to-date. But you can have also multi-company consolidation is really easy to do using the reporting tree, and drill down. So let's take a look at just the report. We'll just show you the drill down capabilities. I'm going to look at this income statement. This is a consolidated income statement. So over here on the left, you've got your reporting tree, or what we call in Renovo, your organizational structure. In this particular case, it's broken down by departments. It could be consolidated across companies, regions, departments, or however you design it. You expand this down, you can see some of the sub-levels for this particular organizational tree. The users can look at this financial at a consolidated level or at various summary levels within there. So I want to get admin, departmentalized P&L, or the operations P&L. So just by clicking on the various departments, I can see the perspective change. Or the users can drill down by clicking on the report itself. So if I wanted to look at any of these expenses, like other operating expense, I was curious about this. It seems like the variance seems kind of high in terms of dollars. I can just click on it and drill down to see, okay, where are we off? The administration, expenses seem a bit high compared to budget. So you just point and click to drill down. I'm looking at the different locations within my admin group. I want to see, well, central warehouse. And you can just point and click to drill down. And now we're down to the GL level. Now we've drilled down from the summary level down to the account balances. And again, it's just point and click. There's no right-clicking or dragging and dropping or creating pivot tables or anything like that. It's a very intuitive interface where users can drill down from summary to detail. We can go beyond the GL account balances down to the transactions by selecting a balance we want to drill down on. And this will drill down to the transactional detail. The actual journal entries coming in my map are stage 100. So today we're running this over stage 100 for this demonstration. And we're drilling down to the journal details. So you can drill down from summary to different summary levels, to the account balances, and to the transactional detail, just with a point-and-click interface. So through a web browser, you have the drill-down capability. If you want to, you can export these reports out to various formats as well. So your viewers can, if they want to see it in Excel, they can drop it out to Excel very easily with all the details associated in there too, and we'll show some examples of that later. Or PDF. And also you have some distribution options which we'll cover in a little bit as well. Okay, but that's the basic navigation for users that are drilling down on reports through the web browser. So let's take a look at how this report is designed, okay? So we're going to come to this Develop Fiscal Reports area. This is where the authors go to edit and design your reports. Here's another reason why people like Renovo FYI, especially our FRX, those that are on FRX previously or currently. Renovo is very FRX-like. It uses the same kind of design concept where you have things like rows, columns, and what they call in FRX trees, what we call in Renovo organizations, as the building blocks to design a report, which you may call in FRX a report catalog. This component-based report design has been used by FRX for over 20 some odd years and very successfully. So we've borrowed that concept and brought it into Renovo. There's other functions in here that are very nice that go beyond that, though. The ability to, for example, manage distribution of reports out automatically to various groups of people. The ability to package reports into bundles and run them as a package. The ability to audit your designs and look for missing accounts or duplicate accounts. So you get a lot of additional functionality as well. So why don't we do this? Let's look at this particular income statement and see how it's designed. So I'm going to come to my reports. This is what we call report definitions, or some people will call it a report catalog. And let's see, which one is this? It's favorable, unfavorable income statement. So this is the design and setup of the report. Over here to the right, this is where you define this report. You give it a name, you give it a description, and then you would select what row and what column you would use as the building blocks for the body of the report. So I would pick what row layout and what column layout I'm going to use. And of course, you can design these yourselves, or you can convert these from FRX, which we'll look at towards the end of the Lunch and Learn. And then you would select your organization, which is the, AKA the tree structure. And there's other settings like how far can somebody drill down, and various tabs up here at the top for other report settings and options like the page layout, other report options like suppressing rows with no amounts, including amounts in future periods, and other kind of financial reporting specific types of options. Most of these also convert from FRX. And you've got some additional functionality that you didn't have, which I mentioned, we're going to look at, which is the distribution capability. So when I run this report, maybe I want to distribute via email with a PDF attachment to groups of different people. All right, so these are just some of the general options, though, and we're going to look at this in a little bit more detail. Another nice thing that you get with Renovo is the preview capability. Because sometimes one of the complaints with this component-based report design, when you compare it to an Excel kind of based report writer, is it's sometimes hard to visualize what a row and a column will look like when it's put together and the report's generated. So the preview option gives you the ability to see and visualize your report as you're designing it. You can just click on the preview button and it will show you what your report will look like. This is useful for if you're editing a report and changing maybe the layout or the fonts or the spacing, to be able to quickly preview the design without actually having to run the report. Okay, so we're going to look at, let me just go back to our preview again. I'm going to take you guys into the details of the design in these different components. We're going to look at the row first. Okay, so this is a very simple income statement layout with revenue and expenses. I'm going to show you how that is designed in the row setup. So to go to the row setup, we just come and click on this row definition link, and that will open up the row definition for this income statement. And this is what it looks like in Renovo. So you've got our revenue section up here, and then the expenses a little bit down below. And what we'll do here is, let me just delete a line out, and I'll show you how these things are designed. So basically, you've got a row code. This is just a numbering schema. And then the description, this is what will appear in the body of the report usually. And then the row type. Is this going to be a description type of row, which is like a header? Is this going to be a GL type of row, which means pull from the general ledger a balance? Is it going to print an underscore? Is it going to do a formula or a calculation? So there's different types of rows for different reasons. And then over here is where you're going to reference what account code or account codes will represent that line. And then there's formulas on the calculation column. So the easiest way to show you this is just to do a quick example. I'm going to insert this line that we just deleted and just to show you how you can manually enter or edit these reports. I'm going to insert a line above here, and we'll just type in the description. Okay, so I'm just going to do this manually, but you can cut and paste from Excel, or if you're an FRX user, you can reconvert from FRX and you won't have to do any of this. Okay, so this is going to pull from the general ledger. We want to pull a balance for returns and allowances. And here we're going to put what GL accounts represent returns and allowances for this report. So I can type in the GL coding here, or I can use this lookup, which is a little more convenient, and it gives me this build GL link. This is really useful if you've got a complex group or range of accounts that you want for that line of your report. So you can see here you've got a from and a to. We can do a lookup here, and I can look up into page 100 into my chart of accounts, and I can select an account that I want for returns and allowances. So it's account 425, and I'll just drop that in here and click the select button. So now our report for that line is going to pull the balance for account 425. So you could do ranges, so I'm just going to type in, let's say we want 425 to 480, some kind of range. You can do just a regular range of natural accounts. You can do things like exclusions from the range. So I want to exclude from there account 450 because 450 is cost of goods sold. So we're taking that out. You can do exclusions. You can do non-contiguous accounts, so include 490 as well. You can do things like have the full account string. So if it was company 100 or company, let's say, ABC, account 425, department 10, and region, that's all regions. So you can actually filter by the entire account string as well. So this allows you to create more complex groups or ranges of accounts in a very simple user interface. You don't have to create any complex formulas or anything like that. All right? And that's how it puts it in the screen. If you were to just type it out, you can do it as well. Formulas like calculations, these are for things like subtotaling and totaling, and there's a lot of more advanced formulas that you can do as well. And there's a lot of other functions out to the right for formatting and filtering, which we won't cover in this webinar. But, filtering on your organization or different types of printing and borders and page breaks and all different types of options. And what you'll notice if you look at some of these more closely, they're very financial reporting specific. Debits and credits and suppressing roll-ups and suppressing zeros. These are typical functions that you need or that is useful for when you're creating financials. They're not necessarily that important for other types of reports, but because Renovo is specifically designed to do financial reporting, it has a lot of these features built in. So, yeah, that's because that one's already being used. Okay. Let's go back. It just so happens that we have a public webinar going on at the same time. It's got somebody else using some of these same components as me. Okay. Let's look at the column side of things. So I'm going to go back here. Let's look at our report. I'm going to go to the preview again just so we can refresh ourselves on the structure of this report. There we go. All right. So this is the column layout for this financial report. It was a pretty standard kind of layout. We had actual versus budget and some variances, and then we for the period to date, and then we had the same thing: actual versus budget and variances on a year-to-date basis. So this is how you define the columns. So just to look at it more closely, I'm going to check this out so that I can edit it. And we're going to look at just like, for example, this column B. I'll show you how this is defined. You select it, and you right-click, and you go Edit. So for those that are familiar with FRX, it looks a lot similar, but the way that you edit it is slightly different. You get this kind of window wizard that allows you to select the different settings. So for example, column B is going to pull from my actuals. So you pick, is it actual or budget? You pick the book. You pick your year and your period offset. So this would be current year, current period. The offset is 0. If I wanted to do prior year, I would just do a -1. And that will give me the prior year actual. Of course, you can do fixed periods as well, or ranges of periods with these different radio buttons. Then you pick your balance type. So this is going to be, you can do period to date or year to date or a bunch of other options, but we'll just select period to date. And that's the basics for creating the column. So this is actuals, current year, current period, period to date. And then there's other, for month to date, whichever way you want to say it. There's other options up here for formatting and additional more specific options for printing conditions, currency, and even additional filtering. If you wanted to filter this column by department, for example, you could do that. This is how people do reports, for example, that have maybe departments going across the top or companies going across the top of the consolidation column. But generally speaking, this is how you define these things. We've got actuals versus budget, and then the variance is just a very simple calculation. In this case, it's just C minus B for the dollar variance, and D divided by C for the percent variance. Now, if you keep scrolling down, you'll see the formatting for the percentage, and you'll see like this change variance sign. And you want to set these to true for your variance columns on your income statements, because this will flip the sign on your revenue section so that you have a consistent variance where your plus is good, minus is bad type of variances, since the income side has a different natural sign than the expense side. So again, just a lot of these little financial reporting specific features and functions that it's just to show you that this product for financial reporting is just well thought out. So the row and the column comprise the body of the report and create a two-dimensional report. Your organization, or what you may know as a tree or a hierarchy or a roll-up structure, this is what makes this report multidimensional. All right, and this is an example of an organization. So we've got a summary level and then different sub-levels by department. If we expand these out a little bit, you'll see then what we call the detail level or unit. In this case, I'm using location. So the blue folders are kind of your summary levels, and the blue and green guys are your detail levels. So one of the great things about this report writer and report writers like FRX that use these trees is it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of how you want to consolidate and see your financials. Because these summary units, administration, executive operations, these don't even have to really exist in your chart of accounts, in your accounting system. You can create virtual roll-up structures. I wanted to create another level with here and here that was region, or I mean not region, maybe market, and have different groupings that are totally non-contiguous. I mean, you can report and summarize and consolidate in virtual groupings, if you will. So it extends your analysis capability beyond what your chart of accounts contains. Okay, so the way that you define this, so basically, is we've got the summary unit and then the detail unit. And the detail unit will have a account mask. All right, so this is a mask on the chart of accounts. The chart of accounts for this company is a 3-digit national, a 2-digit department, and or division, and a 2-digit location. Okay, just to give you an idea of this chart of account structure. And so these @ symbols are basically wildcards on the national account. And then This 00 represents the administration division, and 02 represents the west. 01 is the east. Okay? That's how these are defined. If you are an FRX user, what you probably are used to seeing are different wildcards. You're probably used to seeing something that looks like this, and instead you might have, something that looks like that. It's the same concept, except we use different wildcards. So we use like the asterisk instead of the question mark, and we use the @ symbol instead of the ampersand. Okay. Now, one of the things that we have that you don't have in FRX is extended distribution capabilities. So over here to the right, you see this column distribution list. This controls the bursting and distribution of reports out to groups of people. So for example, admin 1 is a group of users. Executive 1 is another group of users. Corporate is another group of users. If you're in the admin 1 group, you will get distribution of the admin level of this report only. If you're in the executive group, you'll receive the executive group level of this report only, et cetera, et cetera. And you can have more than one group on a level. So for example, for operations, if we wanted to say that was going to be corp and let's say sales, you can actually have more than one group of people on a unit. So you can nest it. So it controls the bursting and distribution at a group, though, which is a little bit different than if you were just use the email option. And this is one way that we do distribution that's different than others. You manage it in a group, so that if I move from the admin to executive in my organization, I don't have to go in and edit 20 different reports. I just move the user from one group to the other, and then that's all I have to do. And they will receive the appropriate departmentalized financial. So it's just easier to maintain going forward. These distribution lists also control security. So there's two ways of delivering reports. One is you email them to people, and the other is they go in and log into the web and they view the reports online. This controls both aspects. It controls who gets emailed what, but it also controls, if I have the right to log in to view the financial, what level or unit of the report, when I log in to look at it, can I see? So we're going to demonstrate this to you so that you can see what I'm talking about. So what I'll do is I'm going to go back to our report definition. Let's just run this report, and you can see kind of how this all fits together. So I'm just going to click on this submit request. This will run the report. And when you run a report in Renovo, it walks the users through a wizard. The first thing it's going to ask me is what is the date, the run date of the report. So I can pick a date. I'm just going to type in a date that I know I have some information. So put the date in. Click Next. The next thing it's asking me is how I want to distribute this report. I can choose to distribute it right now when I run it, or I can uncheck this and distribute it ad hoc, which is usually what most people will do. They will actually choose to distribute it ad hoc, which means I run the report, okay, it looks okay, but it's not complete. I run it again, and then when I'm ready to distribute it out and publish it to everybody, I click the button and it publishes. We're just going to distribute it kind of as we go, just for time reasons. Okay, the next option here is a scheduling option. So Renovo comes in with built-in distribution and built-in scheduling. So I can run this report on a schedule. Say every Monday at 3 a.m. run the report. Scheduling and distribution come with base package. You don't have to purchase any additional licenses or users to do distribution and scheduling. So when you are evaluating total cost, make sure you keep that in mind. Okay, so this report ran, it actually was pretty quick. It ran through 50 some odd units, and we can click this new report to view it. Before I do that, I'll just point out one other thing though. This is, going back to the technology as one of the differentiators of Renovo. one of the things with technology is that you get is performance. Reports just tend to run much faster in Renovo. We have done, taken people's FRX reports that take hours to run in FRX, and they run in minutes in Renovo. We've taken reports from our competitors that take a very long time to run and run it through Renovo and run much faster. So performance, because of the technology and the way that we generate reports and the fact that it's all server-based, if it's important to you, that's something you keep in mind. Okay, so this is kind of taking us full circle back to when we're reviewing and drilling down reports. We run this report. We've actually distributed it as well, which I'll show you in a second. And this is the output, which we had looked at before, with the drill down capability. So this is viewing the report through the browser. As I said before, you have this ad hoc distribution. So if you wanted to distribute the report after it's complete and ready to go out, then that's when you would click this distribution button and you would check a couple boxes here and fire it off, in whatever format that you want. And that will burst and distribute it out to all these different groups of people, and they will each individually get their specific financials. So if you did it in PDF or Excel, I'm just getting these emails in my inbox here, and let's just take a look at it. So here is an example of a distribution. So this guy, he's in all these different groups, so he got a bunch of different reports. But if we look at any particular one in PDF, let's just take a look at this corporate. So this is the experience from one who's receiving distribution of reports. I get an email message with attachments of their reports. And you'll see here it's only the reports within the group that that I have the security to see. And what you can do is you can scroll down, and what you'll see here is in the PDF on subsequent pages, it's got the breakdown by account, for example. So even though they aren't viewing it online and drilling down, you can still deliver them all of the detail. If we keep scrolling down, see how they even get the transactional detail delivered as well. And by the way, the users that can get these email distributions, they're called participants, and they do not require any additional user licenses. They're free, basically. So if you want to distribute reports out to people via email with an attachment, it doesn't cost anything extra. This is the same report, but in Excel, so we'll just take a look at this. And what you have down here in Excel is you've got different tabs. So this has got the account detail breakout, and this has the transactional. It's just on different tabs in Excel. But the point here is you can deliver all this detail to people without even having to buy any additional licenses. Now, if you wanted to get more advanced, and this is what we really encourage people to start doing, is you have viewer licenses, okay? And a viewer license will give these users the ability to view the report online. All right, so let me see if I can show you an example here. I'm not sure if I have this guy in here, but let's take a look. Yes, I do. Okay. So if you have viewer licenses, what these users can do is they will get in their email, go back to our email here, they'll get a message with like a hyperlink to their report. So instead of emailing them a bunch of reports, you can just send them a hyperlink. And then when they go in and they log in to the browser with nothing installed on their workstation, because it's just through a browser, they log in, for one, they will only be able to view reports that have been run for them. When they view the reports, you'll see how I've got these red X's next to all this stuff over here. I can only access the admin department. Because of my security, when I log in to view this report, I can't see other departmentalized financials. But I can view mine and I can drill down on mine. So what this means is I run, as the report manager, I run one report for everybody, but depending upon who logs in to view that report, the security will control what they can and cannot see. This is more of a self-service model. So this is more of a, I've produced reports for you. Here's a link. You go out and view that. Now, understand that this is a bit of a leap for a lot of people who are just, they're not going to be willing to, click on a link and view the reports online. That's perfectly fine. You can deliver these people the Excel or PDF reports as well. And what we like to see people do is kind of ease people into this viewer. So basically, stage one is your end users get reports in PDF or Excel in their email. Then the next month, you send them the Excel or PDF in an email with a hyperlink, and you give them the option to say, hey, you can view this in a PDF, or you can click on this link. You can view it online, which gives you more interactive drill down. They can point and click and drill down and analyze. And then eventually, as people start getting used to that, then you stop the attachments in PDF and Excel and just deliver the hyperlink. It's just left overhead on in your email system. And if those people, they want PDF and Excel still, hey, they can just print or export it themselves. They click on that button. I want it in an Excel or PDF. I just, select the format I want, and I can save it, myself to PDF or Excel. So, just some ideas in terms of end user acceptance. All right, so I'm going to stop here in terms of the demonstration of the product. And what I'd like to do is just briefly just talk about what a kind of typical implementation next steps type of thing would be. So the first thing that you would probably want to do is think about if this was the right solution for you, obviously. But in terms of getting a quote, for example, one of the things that you will need to determine is what types of users your organization would need. And so this is just a slide to show you what some of the different options are in terms of the types of users. The authors, publishers, viewers, and participants. So the participants over here on the right, these are the ones that get the email delivery of the reports. As I mentioned before, these do not require a license. They don't cost anything. The viewer is the one who would be able to, in addition, click on the hyperlink or go to the web and drill down on the reports interactively. They can only view reports. They cannot run the reports. And keep that in mind. But they do require a license. The publisher can do what the viewers can do, but the publishers can also run the reports themselves. This is somebody within your organization that is responsible for every month generating the reports and distributing them out to people. The author is a licensed user who can basically do everything. That's your power user. And they have the ability to also design and edit and, sketch and do everything, basically. So these are the report designers, if you will. So the green labeled users are the named, they're all named users and they require a license. Okay? Standard package in Renovo, we have a standard edition, which is a 2-author package. We also have a kind of a single small business package, a single user package as well. But you want to determine kind of what types of users you may be interested in. And then if you decide to go with Renovo, this is kind of an idea of what the implementation kind of looks like. So first would be the installation of the software, of course. And we do this all remotely, or ISM does this. Well, actually, ISM does it, or we do it, but it can be done remotely if you, it doesn't require somebody on site. And you look at about a 4-hour, budget about 4 hours for that. Second is if you have FRX, then the FRX conversion is available. And I'll give you an example of that. Once those are converted or you have reports, then we would also provide training for you, or ISM can provide training for you. There's a couple different options here. There's an online training course, or you can have a live trainer either on-site or remote. And then there's, of course, ongoing support through IHM and through Renovo. To give you a little bit of an idea of what some of these things look like, to visualize it. So what we'll do here, I'm going to show you, this is, so the first thing on that list was an installation of the software. So I'm going to show you a blank, this is a blank installation of Renovo. There's no reports, there's no rows, see there's no plus marks here. So first thing is install the software. If you are a FRX user, then we would take your FRX reports and we would convert them. So if this is FRX, we'll just look at like this income statement. If you're familiar with FRX, this is just a row layout for this income statement. Okay. So what we do is we take a backup of your FRX and we load it in our conversion utility. This is our proprietary tool. We select the spec set and the companies that you want to convert. And then we convert them to this utility. And it will convert all the components, all the rows and the columns and the trees and the font styles and the report catalog, the account sets. You can see here it's going through and converting. It converted the rows, doing the columns, did the trees, and the reports. So there's 41 reports, about 44 rows, 30 columns, etc. And then we'll just refresh our installation. And then all of a sudden we have a whole catalog of reports, rows, columns, and organizational trees converted from FRX into Renovo. So these are all the FRX reports. And if we just look at that same one, this is the report definition for that income statement. And why don't we just run it. So let's see. Next. All right, so I'm just going to run this converter report for you. And we'll view it. We'll review the result. And this is, let's see if we can make this any bigger. This is the converted report from FRX. So, but now in Renovo. And, it's all live. You can drill down on it, into it, just by clicking. And so that's basically how a conversion works. This is kind of, it's a two-step deal. This is the conversion through the utility, and then after that, there's always going to be some cleanup that has to happen. Maybe some of the spacing is off, or maybe some formulas don't convert perfectly. So, nothing's ever totally perfect. You do have to spend a little bit of time, just testing and comparing it to the original, what we call validating the reports. So, installation, conversion, and training. So for training, you can do the on-site trainer option, or we also have online training, which looks kind of like this. You've got a bunch of courses. This is one that's running right now. It's an interactive online training. And as you can hear it's kind of interactive, and it'll teach you how to use the report writer.
The report details can be viewed as to when the report was run. Click A1 income statement. The date and time the report was run is displayed.
So you've got the online training, or you have the live trainer. And then we also have, there's access to an online portal that you will have to interact with support. And then there's ongoing training and support as well. Things like, for example, on our YouTube channel, we always post things like tips. And I think ISM also posts things on theirs. How to break down a row by organizational units, or do some graphing, or create certain types of reports. So these we put out every week, basically, and they're just public videos on YouTube with tips and tricks on how to do different things. And that's just to give you an idea of kind of start to finish what installation or implementation of Renovo would look like.